Welcome guys, this is MJ with MBJ Knowledge. You are welcome to the part 3 of linear programming, and let me take this time to appreciate everyone who's been supporting this channel up to this date. If you are new to this channel, make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell so that whenever we post a new video you are notified. Okay, let's jump into our tutorial. So today we want to do something that is extracting inequations from a Cartesian plane, and these questions, they are always there in paper 1. So I want you to pay a close attention. In case you are behind, you need to watch a part 1 so that you understand where the signs are coming from. Okay, so let's jump right in. Now, first of all, what I normally advise when you're extracting inequalities, first of all, you need to identify those direct ones. Okay, write down those direct ones, because other inequalities, in case they are not direct, we have to use coordinate geometry. You will see how we're going to use it. So here on this one, the direct one is this line which is passing through the origin or the center. So this line here is direct. Now, how is it direct? It's because it's passing through the origin. At the same time, it is connecting these points that are in a straight line with the origin. Okay, you can see those points where I'm putting it. So it's connecting the points which are in the straight line with the origin. So if a line is passing through the origin and connecting those points, we say that is y equals to x. Okay, now because it is slanting on the positive side of x, so the x will be positive. Okay, now this is not an inequality because it has an equal sign. So we need to change this sign here into an inequality, where we can only use greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, or maybe a greater than or a less than. These 4 signs are the ones that we can use. Now, coming back to this, a line that has been drawn here, it's a solid line. So since it's a solid line, it means we can only use the first 2. Okay, so the only signs we can use are those. Now between those 2 signs, look at where it is shaded. This line has been shaded above. Okay, so meaning below here it is less than. So we're going to say y less than or equal to x. So that is our inequality. Okay, so make sure you are following there. Okay, so our first inequality is just y less than or equal to x. Now the last 2 inequalities, for this line and this line which is down here, we cannot go direct. Those we are supposed to use coordinate geometry. So how do we use coordinate geometry? We are going to pick points for this particular line. So this one here, the line which is down here, I'm sure you are able to see. We are going to pick points. Okay, so if you look at the way it is, so here there's a point, and down here there's also a point. So picking a point from here, this point here is a 0, 2, meaning 0 in the x, then 2 in the y. This point down here, it's 8, 0. Okay, so those are the points. Okay, we have 0, 2, which is here. Okay, and then we have 8, 0, which is down here. Okay, from there we are going to find the value for gradient. Gradient is equal to what? Change in y over change in x. Okay, so we substitute the values. Where there is y2, put a 0. Where there is y1, put a 2. Where there is x2, put an 8. Where there is x1, put a 0. Then solve. So if we substitute, it will look like that. Okay, then 0 minus 2, that's a negative 2. 8 minus 0, that's 8. Okay, so we have negative 2 over 8. Now later on we are going to simplify this one, so the final answer will be negative 1 over 4. That is for gradient. From here we need now to find the equation. So you've seen, that's why I've said we are going back to coordinate geometry. So let's pick a point. From there we can get 0.2, or we can get 8, 0. So we can get 0,2 or 8, 0. Pick one. So for me, I'm going to get the 0,2. That's my point. Then I'll use this equation of a straight line. So this is the formula: y minus y1 equals to m open bracket x minus x1. So I'm using 0,2. So where there is y1, I'll put the 0, I mean the 2, sorry. Then where there is x1, we put a 0. Where there is m, we put a value for gradient, the one that we are just from finding. So if we substitute, it will look like this. So this is the value for y1, this is the value for gradient, this is the value for x1. Okay, let us proceed. From here we are now going to simplify it. So if we multiply negative 1 over 4 times x, we are still having negative 1 over 4x. Then negative 1 over 4 multiplied by 0, we are still going to have a 0. So we are not going to write down the 0 there. Then here we'll make this negative 2 to cross the equal sign. This side we just want to remain with y. Okay, so we'll make it cross. Okay, so when it crosses, it will look like this. Okay, when it crosses, it will look like this. Okay, then what are we having? A negative 1 over 4x, then plus 2. This is the equation of this straight line, but remember we are writing what? Inequalities. So inequalities, they do not use equal sign. Now you come back to your line. What type of a line is this? It's a solid line. So since it's a solid line, you can either use greater than or equal to, or less than or equal to. So those signs with an equal sign, they are the ones that you are going to use, because it's a solid line. So here, since this line has been shaded below, leaving the above part, so above we will use a greater than sign. So this will be y greater than or equal to negative 1 over 4x plus 2. Okay, that's the second inequality. The third one will be this line. Okay, now this line here, again, it is not passing through the origin. Again, we are using the same procedure of using coordinate geometry. So we'll pick a point here. Okay, so here the point has already been given, which is a 5, 5. Okay, then the last point is down here on the same slot, which is 8, 0. Okay, now since we have those 2 points, let us find the gradient. So when you go back to this formula here for gradient and you substitute, so this will be your x1, y1, okay, y1, x2, y2. Okay, so if you substitute your values there, you should be able to find the value for gradient as negative 5 over 3. So once you are done finding that value, remember we are coming to this formula now. After finding the gradient, we are coming to this formula for equation of a straight line. So for me, I've picked the first point, which is 5, 5, and then we have substituted. This value here, the 5 you are seeing, it's for the y1, this value here it's for the gradient, this value here is for x1. Okay, once you are done doing that, the next thing you are going to do will be to simplify that. Okay, so when you multiply the negative 5 over 3 times x, it will be negative 5 over 3x. Then multiplying negative 5 over 3 times negative 5 will give us what? Will give us 25 over 3. It's a positive. Okay, then this negative 5 here, we've made it cross the equal sign. This is the negative 5 you are seeing now. After it crosses, it becomes positive. Okay, remember on the left side we just want to remain with the y. Okay, next step, you introduce a 1 because these two are like terms. The 25 over 3 and the 5, they are like terms, so we need to solve them. Now since 1 is a fraction, the other one is a whole number, you introduce a 1 on the whole number, then find the common denominator, which is a 3. So 3 into 3, 1. 1 times 25, we just have a 25 here. Okay, 1 into 3, that's a 3, multiplied by 5, that will be a 15. If we add these two, 25 plus 15, we are going to get the answer as 40. Okay, so we are having the answer as 40 over 3. So looking at, going back to this, okay, this line has been shaded above. If it has been shaded above, you get the opposite sign. You shade below, I've said greater than. If you shade above, you use less than, meaning the solution is below the line. So no wonder you're seeing the sign here as y less than or equal to negative 5 over 3x plus 40 over 3. Those are the three inequalities. Okay, let's go to the second question. Okay, so we have another question here. As usual, the first step is to pick out the simplest ones. Okay, now if you look at this question here, okay, it has a simple inequalities. Then look at this line which is passing through the center here. This line which is passing through the center. Okay, look at this line here which is passing through the center. That line is connecting all the points that are in the straight line with the center. But the difference is it is now slanting towards the negative. Do you remember what I said? It's because so when it slants towards the negatives, it means y equals to negative x. So now x becomes negative because this line is bending towards the negatives. Okay, so to write an inequation here, since it's a dotted line, we can only use those signs without an equal sign. We can either use a less than or we can use a greater than. Now because it has been shaded below, meaning the wanted is above, so since it is above, we'll pick this one here, the greater than. Okay, so let us write down that inequation. Okay, let me just quickly erase this. Okay, so now since we are having that first inequality, I've said that first inequality there, now it is just direct. So I've said it is y equals to, y less than or greater than negative x. This inequation which is down here, it is y greater than negative x. Why negative? It's because it is bending towards the negative of x. Y less than, it's because we are using a dotted line. The next one will be this line here which is passing through the x axis. Look at this line, this vertical line here. Okay, this vertical line here, this vertical line here is just passing through the x axis. Okay, it is cutting the x-axis where it is written 2. So since it is cutting x at positive 2, so this inequality will just be x less than or equal to 2. Now for vertical lines, if it has been shaded on the right, it means you can use a sign which is less than. So if a wanted region is facing the negative side, that means less than. So if it was shaded here on the left side, we are going to use the greater than. Okay, so since this is a solid line, we can only use those with equal signs. Now because it has been shaded on the right, meaning this side it is less than or equal to. That's where this less than is coming from. Then where is the 2 coming from? Where this vertical line is cutting, it is cutting x on the positive 2. Okay, next we go to the other simplest one, which is right here on top. Okay, this other line here, you can see it is a dotted line. Now this line here, it is cutting the y-axis. Again, it's a direct question. So since it is cutting y at positive 6, it is just y equals to 6. Okay, now writing an inequality, it is shaded where? Above. So this will be y. Remember, it's a dotted line. Okay, so since it is shaded above, meaning the wanted is below, so we are using less than, then we put a 6. It ends there. That is our inequality there. Okay, so our third inequality is just y less than 6. The fourth inequality, okay, it is this line you are seeing here, which is passing through here. Okay, so this line here, it's a solid line, as you can see. It's a solid line. Okay, now we're going to use coordinate geometry. Okay, so let us pick points. So we'll pick points here. Okay, we'll pick another point here, down here. So down there, that point is a 0, -2, and up there it is, down here it's a 2, so 2, +7. So 2, 7. As usual, we find the gradient first of all. So change in y over change in x. I think you still remember this. Okay, so substituting the values, where there is y2, this is our y2 is 7, y1 it's a -2. So you've seen I've separated here minus the -2 in brackets. So x2 is a 2, x1 is a 0. So simplifying those, we're going to have a 9/2. That is our gradient. Next step, pick a point from there, just one. So I've picked the 2, 7. Okay, now using this equation formula, let us substitute where there is y1, where there is x1, and where there is gradient. Let us put the values. Okay, so putting the values, it will look like this. If we multiply 9/2 times x, it will give us 9/2x. If we multiply 9/2 times -2, it will give us -18/2. Then this side we just want to remain with y, so we'll make it a -7 to cross the equal sign. So this side, it will become become a +7. Okay, now here I've divided, the 2 can go into 18. Okay, so going into 18, it goes there 9 times, so this will just be -9 plus 7. Okay, so -9 plus 7, we get the sign from the bigger number and subtract those, so we're going to have a -2. Now since we are writing the equation, the inequation, okay, inequations, remember, they are using those 4 signs. So let us look at our line. This is a solid line. Being a solid line, we're going to use greater than or equal to or less than or equal to. Where is it shaded? Above. So since below, that's where the wanted region is, so we will use less than. So the final answer will be y less than or equal to 9/2x minus 2. That is your answer there. Okay, so thank you very much for watching up to the end of this video. If you really enjoyed, please make sure you share with your friends, and I'm leaving you work, so try it out how to extract. So long as it is not passing through the origin, please remember to say if a line is not passing through the origin, 1, make sure you use coordinate geometry. So if a line is a horizontal, it is a direct one. If a line is vertical, direct. If a line is passing through the center and all the points are connected, those that are straight with the center, it's direct. Okay, so I'm leaving you work. You can try out this question here. Okay, as you can see, make sure you check nicely. So this line is direct. This line here, which is passing through the center, you check where it is bending to. Okay, this line here is a vertical, it's direct, so you are only going to use coordinate geometry on this other line which is bending towards your right. Okay, and the second question is this one. So you have 1, 2, 3 inequalities that you are going to extract. So you have this first one which is on top here, it is direct. This one, it is not direct. Why? Because it is not connecting the points that are straight to the center. So if it was straight, it was supposed to connect going in that direction. Okay, so this one you will need to pick points, and this one pick points, and then solve using a coordinate geometry. Okay, so thank you very much, and see you next time.